What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Itz Gametime podcast. This is episode number 45. My name is Jett, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Eric. Eric, how you doing today?
Episode 43. Let me take off these headphones for a second because I do not need them anymore at the moment. Just gotta listen for the intro music and give you the signal and kicking you in the ankle to do so. But it's a Troy Polamalu episode. We were talking about it beforehand. It's kind of unless the number holds significance.
I'll tell you the story behind it. I looked it up right before we got on. There's really no significance to it at all.
That's
he growing up. It was a family tradition to wear number 41. But obviously he didn't win number.
It's no better.
No, but it's not better. And then in college, he was given the number 43 because of safety at the school I went to, which I believe was USC. A safety that was really good there, wore number 43, so they decided to give that to him as an honor. He just ran with that number, and then he never changed it since then.
I'm sorry, 41 is not any better. 43 is just not a good sports number.
If you're 42, I mean, you're right in the middle, 43, 41, you had 40 right there.
Yeah, 42, amazing number, historical significance.
Historical significance, and probably one of our best episodes.
Yes,
so obviously,
exactly. And then 44, it's just a double four. It looks nice having a double four. 45 looks good. 46 look good. 47 does not look good. 48 looks good. 49 I think looks good.
I think it's a problem with the odd digits.
It is the odd, but I think like 49 for some reason just looks good because like when you think about 49, for me I think of 7 times 7. And then that's even.
I guess, but if you're thinking about choosing 49, why not just round up and choose 50, which is a much better number?
It is a much better number. Odd numbers just.
The 9 just.
I don't know. 13 is a nice number.
13, that's, yeah.
13, nice 15 feels wrong. 17 feels awful for me.
But I feel like most lower numbers feel fine in my opinion. I think when you get higher up, it starts to.
What about 21?
I think 21's a great number.
You think 23 obviously is a great number.
Like I think lower numbers, well, you can't really go wrong.
Is like 31 too high?
I think once you get in the 30s.
So 29 sounds okay to you?
It does, yeah.
See, 29 just feels weird. Like 29, you're just like giving it to the kid on the bench.
30 and below. Let's just do this. 29 and below, I can deal with. 30 and above is
30 and above when it comes to odds.
Yeah, like most even numbers are always like even digits. The second digit's gonna be fine, but
it's just I don't know. Even like I think the buck stops for me at 25.
25.
I think 27 that's odd. 29 that's odd. Hell, 30. No, not 30. I think 5 is a fine. 5 when there's a 5 at the end.
5 looks nice. Yeah,
5 always looks nice. 5's the nicest odd digit.
Nicely designed number. It really is. It really is.
5's the best odd digit.
That's a debate we could get into right now. You think 5? I think 1's the best odd digit. It's just
if it's
just simple and
if it's just 1, yes, but like 11.
11's a good number.
That's the one number with like the double digits that just looks odd. 1. No,
it's simple. Gets the job done. It tells a story.
It looks like 2 L's on the back of your jersey.
Debatable.
I think 5's the best odd digit out there.
Okay.
It's definitely not 9.
I'm gonna go with 1. We're gonna put this on our Instagram to see which odd digit is more preferred by our viewers, and we'll talk about it on the next episode.
Guys, that was totally planned. We were totally planning on going into
and I was wondering if we were gonna need any more fillers for the show, and we just found one.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So 5's best odd digit number out there. Anything above 25, that's an odd that ends up an odd number. What are you doing?
Above 30 for me, but that we'll put that up as well. So.
We'll put that up as well. But NFL season is now completely over. There's not much to talk about until free agency hits, which it should be starting soon. And then the draft combines.
One thing I do want to mention NFL wise, Aaron Rodgers released that cryptic message, thank yous, goodbyes, hellos. Like who knows what he was trying to say in that message. That's just, something, a storyline that we saw.
The draft combines next week.
Yeah, that's right. That's
March
right.
3rd through the 6th. So let's all start and over evaluate guys that can just run really quick, jump really high, jump really far.
Quarterbacks are going to start flying up even more, just like they always do, based off of a deep ball throw, like we saw with Zach Wilson last year.
Exactly.
We might end up seeing Kenny Pickett at number 2. Like, who knows? Like, things like that happen. And obviously, this draft class isn't the most desirable ones in terms of star players, but from what I've heard, that there's a lot of depth in this one, so we could see some decent prospects form into nice NFL players.
Yeah, and then it's the combine, it's free agency, then it's pretty much the draft is the next big thing. Where then we'll be giving our draft predictions for like the first round.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
For the first round, we're not doing.
I mean, we could like an Itz Gametime NFL mock draft marathon, 24-hour marathon. Just go through the whole draft.
Just go through the whole draft.
Live stream it. I mean,
live stream that and just completely just do a whole 7 rounds.
Why not? Why not?
I could make up someone in that 7 rounds and make it believable.
I mean, like, how many people though would continue listening for the full 24 hours? Like, who's gonna listen to the
dedicated fans, the Eric stands?
True. I mean, how many of those are out there? That's the thing. I've been hearing a lot more Jet stands as of late. So,
but now that there's not much NFL news going on, we're gonna move to the only really big sports league that is going on at the moment, and we'll talk about the one sports league that should be going on at the moment, but they're in a little pissing match right now between the PA and the organization, the owners, the MLB. We'll get to that afterwards, but we'll start off with the NBA. The NBA, the All-Star weekend break just came and went, and it was
something. Like it's really
something.
It's really not many.
It was in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's the first issue. I mean, it was in Cleveland. I think a lot of the mini games kind of underwhelmed. The dunk contest was a snooze fest.
I didn't watch it, but let's go, Obi, baby.
Yeah, Obi Toppin. Yeah, like I've said on numerous other media outlets around. The Knicks are gonna. This will be their one thing they win in the near future, and I still stand by that. Going on this celebrity game, you got Myles Garrett looking like he could pursue an NBA career if he decides to cut his NFL career short. Obviously, less weapons for Myles Garrett to use if he wants to, engage in any disorderly conduct. Kareem Hunt participated in that competition as well. Not going to bring up any messed up jokes about him, but I think the celebrity game was a lot more entertaining than the dunk contest.
That's just not fair. You're bringing into Myles Garrett, a top tier NFL player, to play against singers and rappers. And I think a few comedians, actors. Yeah. That's not. You saw what he did. He just did a perfect vertical dunk. Yeah. And that was it. That's just not fair.
I mean,
how did he get assigned to a certain team, or was he the captain, you think?
I don't know. I mean, I get obviously he was there because it was in Cleveland and he's on the Browns. That all makes sense. But when you have what if one of those country singers that was participating in the game got in the way and it just totally destroyed him?
Just poster hung up on the wall, posterized.
that would have been something. You don't often see a country singer get posterized. So that would have been
by a D end in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting. And then the 3-point contest was won by a big man.
Yeah,
we don't see that really.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen that before. We've seen it maybe a couple times, but not very.
Who else was competing against Cat? Exactly.
Yeah, I mean these competitions have really underwhelmed the past several years. Like going back to 2016 was probably the biggest one where we had Aaron Gordon participating in that dunk contest. But Towns won the 3-point contest. Obi Toppin. I mean, I didn't watch the dunk contest. From what I've seen in the highlights and from what I've heard, there was a lot of missed dunks. I mean, you got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar leaving in the middle of the dunk contest. Just things like that. It was pretty uneventful. From what I've heard,
the skills contest with the Cleveland winning it with 2 centers playing with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen.
It was yeah, it was something. Then we had the game the next day. That was a little bit more entertaining. It came down to a game-winning shot by LeBron at the end to put his team over the top.
Of course it did.
I think the big story though in that game was Steph Curry, the way he shot 50 points. He broke a 3-point field goal record. And I was surprised, like the record before him was 9. He smashed it. It was 16.
He was like just jacking them. That iconic photo of him shooting it, turning around to the crowd and asking if it went in. Loved it.
Where has this been in the regular season though? Because he's been cold throughout the past several weeks.
Well, also there was no defense.
Well, that's the thing. Like he had a good amount of open shots. But yeah, there was some nice highlights in this one. John Morant did pretty well. Pretty sure Nikola Jokic was close to a triple-double. LeBron didn't have a great shooting performance.
He didn't care.
He still,
all he cared about was talking shit to Michael Jordan. After.
Yeah, that's right. Michael Jordan was in attendance because obviously in halftime they talked about the top 75 players of all time. Which, by the way, there are probably some snubs on that list, but that's probably for
some overrated players, maybe.
Well,
you remember that text I sent you?
Yeah, I do remember that. Not the one you're thinking of, but I'm thinking like someone like Damian Lillard probably doesn't deserve to be on there.
Honestly, probably
when
not.
You have like Tracy McGrady getting left off the list, Tony Parker, Tyler Hero, stuff like that.
Not the D-man, Duncan Robinson.
Even Chris Bosh though, like Chris Bosh, you could actually make an argument for.
A lot of big men on that list.
What's up?
A lot of big men,
which is kind of surprising, honestly. I guess I'm not sure how this was voted on. I'm sure this was like an NBA league thing that decided this.
Yeah.
But
there were some guys from like the 50s I didn't know about. I just did not know their names.
Yeah, there was this one picture I saw. It was like Jerry West, Michael Jordan, Shaq, a bunch of like great all-time greats, and then in the middle of the photo, they left a little opening, and then someone photoshopped the photo and they inserted Kobe Bryant into it.
Oh,
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty good. There was that. I wonder if they did the same thing with that iconic. There was a picture of all the like great Lakers.
Yeah.
It had Jerry West, Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Shaq, LeBron now, Kareem, not Wilt, but like they could have maybe edited Wilt and Kobe into that.
Right.
So,
yeah. No, yeah, that was pretty cool. It was the game, no defense, obviously, like Eric said, but it was something to watch if you had nothing else to do. I guess is a good way to put it. Obviously, there's some dedicated NBA All-Star Game fans out there, but now we're on to the second half of the NBA season.
Yes,
and we're in for an exciting second half of basketball. Standings to be determined how these teams are going to stack up as we head to the playoffs, and I'm excited to see what the second half has in store for us.
Have you been keeping up with the NBA season, really? Honestly,
like I pay attention more so to the Heat than everyone else.
Well, of course.
Like I honestly I don't watch as many games as I normally do, but like I take a brief look at the standings every now and then, see check the news out. Obviously, there's some surprising teams as we currently look at the standings. I think the Cavs are in the top 4, top 5 right now. You got the Grizzlies.
They're actually tied for third place.
Yeah, I mean you got surprising teams like the Cavs, the Grizzlies,
Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto.
I mean, they're in the play-in.
Yeah, I mean the Heat are on like
Minnesota.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. I'm all for like the Heat. I mean, it is very surprising that they are the number 1 seed right now. I didn't expect them to be this good, but it's definitely been a great start to this season.
Pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Just looking at the Eastern Conference there, what do you think? You think there's a team that's going to move down, or teams that'll move up in the standings?
It's tough for the East. The Knicks are playing. The Knicks just want to just blow games. It seems like they're tanking. It really does.
It's a mess.
Thibodeau's now actually getting heat for it because of just poor execution, playing RJ Barrett for the last this was a while back, but he played RJ Barrett for like 13 seconds left. There was not a chance to win the game, and he ended up spraining his ankle, and that's caused him to miss multiple games, where prior to that, he just never missed a game, even after playing like 40 plus minutes a night. He just never missed games. So like that's been with RJ's injuries on Thibodeau's head. It's tough to see the Knicks really getting back into it. I really don't think they're better than any of the other teams in the play-in right now. I know Atlanta has just mysteriously not been as good as we had hoped at the beginning of the season. Brooklyn, I think they're going to get back into the actual playoffs, and they're going to get ahead of the play-in games. Toronto, they're on fire. They went on like a 9-game winning streak right before the All-Star break. The one I guess you could say would possibly be Charlotte, but I mean, LaMelo Ball he's doing really well so far this season.
It's just the team around him is really not really giving him any help.
It's really between, I see Washington and New York, and I would take Charlotte. I would put more like stock into Charlotte than either of those teams. But I definitely could see Boston dropping down. Boston and probably Brooklyn, I could see switching.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the East is really, really competitive this year.
Yeah, what the hell? Like right when the Knicks are like competent, then the East becomes a gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the 6 seed Boston Celtics right now. They're 8 games over 500. Raptors 7 seed, 7 games over 500. I do agree with you. I do think the Nets are going to sneak their way into the top 6.
I think it's just going to be 6.
I do think it's going to be 6. I don't think they get any higher than that. I think I'm going to get to one of my predictions a little bit later for the second half. But if I had to pick a team that could potentially fall a little bit, it would have to be the Cavaliers, just because they are still a very young team. But like how far, like I don't know like how far they would really go, because they've been playing extremely well.
It's just like it's odd because of how they play.
Yeah,
they play with 3 big men. Like
that's what's crazy.
And Darius Garland is really, really good. I remember watching him again when he was at Purdue, when he in March Madness, which is also coming up, and which we'll have to be giving our predictions for that. But I remember that game against UVA. He was just jacking him up and just making all of them. But I mean, Darius Garland's doing really well.
I mean, they're averaging opponents' points per game. They're the fewest points per game in the Eastern Conference right now at 102. And I mean, obviously their defense was playing extremely well. They have a lot of young talent on that team. And I mean, I can't really see them falling that much, even if they do, maybe a spot, maybe 2. But like, I think they'll definitely be in the playoffs.
I could see Milwaukee jumping them. I definitely could see it being like in a mix-up. Not saying it.
I mean, they're in a 3-way tie right now, so one game that's the difference right now.
I think the top, in no specific order, it'll probably end up. My prediction will be Miami, Chicago, Philly, and Milwaukee will be the top 4 teams, and then I think then it's going to be Brooklyn, then Cleveland, and then the play-in guys are going to be Boston, Toronto, Charlotte, and Atlanta. However, you want to order that.
Yeah, I'll just get to one of my predictions is I do believe that the current top 3 teams that we have, it may be a different order by the end of the season, but I believe those will be the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference by the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if the order held. The Bulls are going to get more healthy as the season goes on. The Heat are pretty much at full strength now, and they're just kind of trying to get their chemistry in order for the stretch run. Obviously, with the 76ers, Harden and Embiid have not even played a game yet together, and they're only 2.5 games behind. So I think we're looking at the top 3 for these teams, and we'll have to see how the rest of the Eastern Conference shapes out. And there's definitely going to be a good team or 2 that misses out on the playoffs this year for sure.
I don't know if I would say miss the playoffs for the Easter. I think everyone that is right now projected to be in deserves to be in for the East.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I'll say is the Hawks. They have not been playing well this year, but they still have they still have pretty much the same rosters they did last year, and they went pretty far. And obviously they're underperforming extremely by a lot. I mean, a lot of that has to do with their defense really not showing up. But I mean, I think they could be I feel like they could turn it around. I mean, prior to the All-Star break, they won 2 in a row. See if that continues. going into the second half, but we'll see.
Now the Western Conference. I mean, I haven't checked the standings in a little bit. I did not know that the Suns are pretty much running away with that conference with a 6.5 game lead against the really good Golden State Warriors. I mean, 6.5 games. I mean, they finished the first half of the season on a 7-game winning streak, winning 9 out of their last 10. This team is good.
They're good. I mean, they're the clear favorite right now to win the NBA Finals. I just don't see them. Obviously, they're not gonna give up the number 1 seed. I think I was looking at their schedule over the past like month or so. I believe they only had like 2 losses in the span of a month. One of them I believe was to the Heat, and the other one I believe was to the I want to say Raptors, or it was another Eastern Conference team, but like the stretch they've been on the past couple months is remarkable, and they're determined to get back to the finals. And I think we could really see them pulling it out this year. 48-10 at the All-Star break is insane. I'm just looking at the top 3 teams in the West. I think those are going to be the top 3 teams as we get towards the end of the season. Those are the 3 best teams, and I just don't see any other teams catching them. The West is a lot weaker than we've seen in years past. The Grizzlies have been playing extremely well with John Morant. Warriors, obviously, but what do you think about the top 3 teams in the West?
It's the top 2 for me are guarantees. I would have to go Memphis for 3 because I just now looking down at the list, I don't see Utah. Utah's kind of disappointing. They kind of are. I mean, I know they're winning. They're 36 and 22, but they're disappointing. I would have expected them to be better. The Mavericks, it's really just Luka once again since they've traded Porzingis now. I mean, Denver, they're not really at full strength without Jamal Murray being in that lineup, which I don't know when they're going to get him back. I don't know.
If they're just I don't believe he's supposed to return this season. I think that's just a lot of like Michael Porter, Jamal Murray. It's gonna be tough to overcome, even with how Jokic has been playing this year.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. The East is a lot for the first time in a long time. The East is a lot more, I would say, a lot more entertaining to watch than the Western Conference. You gonna turn the light back on? It is. I mean, it's just like Utah, Dallas, Denver, Minnesota. These teams aren't threats to the top 2 seeds, top 3 seeds. The Clippers aren't at the moment because Kawhi is hurt. I mean, the Lakers are for sure not. That's like, let's just explode the roster and restart type of team at the moment. Portland traded CJ McCollum, so like I don't understand why they shouldn't just be tanking now, or like or trying to ship out Damian Lillard either. I don't get that.
I just think it's the type of thing that for some reason Damian Lillard just does not want to leave. He just wants to like be able to try and win, but like they had their chance to win several years back when they were in that conference finals game. But like when I'm looking at like the bottom half of the West, like I'll make this prediction now. I don't even think the Lakers. I think the Lakers will get in the play-in game, but I don't think they will make the playoffs. Too many injuries, too much discombobulation with Russell Westbrook. Apparently, at the trade deadline, there was a trade in place to send Russell Westbrook in exchange for John Wall.
No better.
Apparently, LeBron was an advocate for that. That's the rumor that's floating around. But Russell Westbrook has been. Not a great fit with this team. Obviously, Anthony Davis still cannot stay healthy. LeBron still playing an all-time great level. It's just very hard when they gave up so much of their depth, and now you're left with pretty much nothing.
I mean, if you look at it, like where the Knicks are at, all right. The Knicks, just saying this, are 13 games out of first place.
Right.
And then for the West, Dallas, who is the 5 seed, is 13.5 games out of first place.
That just tells you right there what we're looking at in both conferences.
It's just so Orlando Magic, last place in the Eastern Conference is 25 and a half games back, the same as the San Antonio Spurs and New Orleans Pelicans, which are the 11 and 12 seeds just outside of the play-in. It's just the Western Conference is so top heavy.
Yep.
While the East is it's deep. If you want to look at like let's say like Washington and New York versus the play-in guys for in the West, I still don't think that they're as good. Either of those teams are as good as any of the teams in the play-in, but it's still like it's just competitive in the East. It's jam-packed. It's deep. It's like the Big Ten in college football.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten in college football is deep, and that's the Eastern Conference. The Western Conference is the SEC.
Right.
The SEC is just very top heavy with Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn at the moment. Right. And then everything after, crapshoot. Right. Crapshoot. Like Arkansas, Minnesota, oh my God. Mississippi State. Yeah. It's just it's just not appealing in the West. It's really not.
A lot of it has to do with especially two teams like the Clippers and Lakers, who we've seen at the top of the Western Conference for the past several years. They're not a part of it. Obviously, the Trailblazers are not good. Spurs aren't good. Haven't been good in a while. Just when you're looking at the Eastern Conference, we could very well see a 7 or 8 seed upset a 1 or 2 seed. I think in the playoffs, if there were a team to.
Exactly. It's just for the Western Conference, it's almost like a shoe, and it's going to be Phoenix versus Golden State or the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's what we're
like everything else is just like for shits and gigs.
Some of those other teams can get healthy, which it's going to be hard to get fully healthy and trying to compete with the Suns, who have been outstanding all season. It's looking like the Suns are.
But like you can see Miami, Chicago, Philly, Milwaukee. If Brooklyn figures it out with Ben Simmons, you could possibly see them all in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Exactly.
Like that's 5 teams deep. Yeah. Of like you could realistically make an argument they could be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe 3 of them you can make an argument they should be in the NBA Finals. With this, in the West, I would only say the Phoenix or Golden State has a pretty good chance of making it to the NBA Finals.
I agree. I think it's a little too early for the Grizzlies. I mean, they were just in the playoffs last year, but they didn't do any damage. I think if they'll have another great experience this year, but it's definitely between the Warriors and the Suns.
I think for like the Western Conference Finals, when it gets to that, if it's Phoenix and Golden State, I think that's a really entertaining matchup. But it's just before that, it's not going to be fun to watch. That side of the bracket. But the East, it's going to be very. I think the Western Conference Finals, if it's Phoenix versus Golden State, will probably be more watched than the Eastern Conference one. I would have to say.
I agree. I think like with the Western Conference, it's good that a lot of these teams are on the West Coast, so they can schedule the games later at night, so then we don't have to see them on the West Coast. But yeah, I definitely agree that any matchup of Eastern Conference Finals versus Western Conference Finals, the West does have the edge, just because when you compare the top 2 teams in the West to the top 2 teams in the East, they have the edge. Yeah, it's not really close.
At the moment, definitely. But who would you say is the MVP front runner? I mean, no one's stuck out. No, it's not like Jokic and Embiid last year.
No. I mean, those are the 2 guys primarily at the top this year, but it's not the same as it was last year. I think Embiid is the guy at the front of this race. Obviously, that's pending he can stay healthy for the rest of the year and still play at an extremely high level. I will make a prediction, though, for the second half of the season, and I will say that Ja Morant's going to win the MVP. He has this Grizzlies team playing well, and without him, I don't even think they're in the playing game, honestly. Like, he runs this team, and he's averaging 27 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game. He's the definition of valuable, and he's the 12th player in the player impact estimate rating. And right now, he has the 5th highest odds behind Embiid, Jokic, Curry, and Giannis. I think if he continues to have this Grizzlies team playing at a high level and maybe could potentially even lead this Warriors team, I think he has a very strong case for MVP, especially considering Jokic, Embiid, Giannis. Like, if none of them can stay healthy, this is Ja Morant's race to lose.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just I'm looking at something. I'm trying to find something at the moment. So just bam, bam.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm looking. I'm just trying to find like
you're
a
good.
stat.
I mean, the thing with John Morant, a lot of people argue with this Grizzlies team is there's just not a lot of talent after him, which I get. But he's doing enough to get some of his teammates involved, like Desmond Bain, like Jaren Jackson. Like these are good players. Obviously, when you look at the best team in the Western Conference, there isn't an MVP from that team just because there's so many solid contributors on that team. But I do think, even though with John Morant's odds at 5th in the NBA and MVP race, if he plays at this same level, he is definitely going to win MVP, if not this year, in the near future.
I mean, his win shares right now are 5.7 games.
Wow.
He's almost giving them himself, winning them 6 games.
I'd be curious to see where that relates, like in relation to like a Joel Embiid.
I can do that
or
for
a Nikola Jokic, because obviously I think Embiid's are going to be extremely high just because for a large part of the season it was him carrying this team. Obviously now they have Harden. Jokic, you can argue the same thing. It's been him, and then the Nuggets dealing with a bunch of injuries. Same with Giannis, honestly. Like obviously of Chris Middleton, but Giannis has been the major player in this.
Joel Embiid is actually a lot more. Wow. 8.3.
Wow. I mean that's telling right there. Like that's why he is the front runner.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and their defensive win shares too is it's just So I would have to go. Embiid is the definite front runner at the moment. I mean, he's just tearing it up as a big man, which you don't. It's odd. These past few years, big men have kind of resurged into being like valuable, because there was that little, like, since probably 2015 to like 2020, I would say there was that transition period where the big men that just stayed down in the paint just started losing value because they didn't know how to shoot mid-range or the three-pointer, and they struggled at the foul line. And since then, a lot of these guys that have been up and coming have taken over the league, like Embiid, like Jokic. They've adjusted, or they, like, before getting into the NBA, they learned the skill of shooting, to where now it's like, shit, like now this 7-footer could shoot.
I know it's ridiculous what we're seeing now. And obviously with Embiid, the only reason there's 2 reasons why I could see him potentially not winning this MVP. 1, obviously if he doesn't stay healthy, but 2, if James Harden, starts to limit Embiid's production, because obviously James Harden wants the ball too. That would be another reason why his stats may not be good, and Embiid could prove to be less valuable to this team in the stretch run.
Absolutely. You got any other predictions?
No,
on that sheet?
Do you have a prediction or a bold prediction you want to make that we could see for the second half of the NBA season before we move on?
The second half of the NBA season, what are we gonna see happen? And
you could say the Knicks are going to make the finals.
Knicks are not
be really bold.
That's just idiotic. I'm looking for the play-in.
Notes are sometimes come in handy for situations like this.
Hey, you know what I was doing before this. I had other stuff that I had to handle. Man, I think the Hawks are going to heat up.
Okay.
I think the Hawks.
When you say heat up, like where could you see them?
They could be flirting with getting out of the play-in.
Okay.
I think they're still going to. I think they could get up to the 7th seed.
I agree.
I think it could be like. I told you my top 5 teams. I think like the last spot could like go to Cleveland, and then it's gonna be like Hawks, Toronto, Charlotte. I think Boston could fall down to 10.
I mean, the Hawks have the same roster as they did last year when they beat the 76ers in the playoffs, so wouldn't be surprised.
They're awful away. That's the issue. They're 11-17 on the road.
Yeah, and they're defensively horrendous as well. That's the problem.
Why'd they trade Cam Reddish?
What's Cam Reddish been doing, by the way?
That's a good question. It's not like he plays. It's not like Thibodeau wants to play him after trading him or anything like that. Yeah, let's not, like, since we're probably not going to be. I wonder at what point is, like, we know we're just, even if we're not like mathematically eliminated, but we're not getting in the play-in.
Yeah,
let's play our young guys.
Why not? Yeah,
let's play Deuce McBride. God, He's a better point guard than Alex Burke, who's a true shooting guard.
True.
I mean, we'll get D Rose back. Kemba's been awful. Kemba's like career lows right now in every category. Yeah. I want to see this starting five right here. All right. I want to see Deuce McBride, Quentin Grimes. I mean, no, not Quentin Grimes. He's a six man.
Okay.
Deuce McBride, Emmanuel quickly, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson. Let's just get dirt. You know what? Never mind. Mitch is getting kicked off and booted because he can't shoot a free throw. It's going to be Deuce McBride, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, RJ, Obi.
Okay. I mean, I think the moral of this whole story is this 2021 season that we saw from this Knicks, obviously a clear outlier. I mean, from what we've seen in the past, the Knicks are a terribly run franchise. Really no future ahead of them, even with all these picks that they have.
You're telling me if they throw that starting five out, that's
Deuce is intimidating. I mean, I've seen him play, and
Deuce can play.
I know he can play, but is Deuce a cornerstone for a franchise?
Well, let's play him and find out. Let's not just keep him let's not just keep him in the G League and just tearing it up with dropping 30 points every night.
It's time to give him a shot.
I'm saying Thibodeau, if you want, well, not Thibodeau. He doesn't care about viewership, obviously, but Dolan, if you want to have your franchise get more viewership, put those starting five out. I'm telling you, then the Knicks fan, if they do like decent, if they're like just entertaining to watch, people are gonna love them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
God, Quentin Grimes just shooting.
I may watch them too then, if that's the case.
If they throw that starting five out, I don't care. If I have work, I'm calling in. I'm like, I'm sick. I'm sick with Knicks fever.
Oh God.
But now let's talk about the league that may not have a season or a full season, I'll say. The MLB this week in the CBA going on between the owners and the PA of the MLB. They're meeting every day this week. And hey, luckily, they've actually been talking for a few hours ever since that incident where they met for 15 minutes.
I really would love to know what happened in that meeting.
Here, let's. So, all right, there's probably 5 minutes of small talking, getting down, settling and stuff like that. All right. That's 10 minutes left now, right? There's probably another 3 at the back end where they're just storming out and everything like that. You're now down to 7 minutes of actual conversation that was somehow said. Not honest. I mean, very probably not discourse at all. Yeah. Yelling, cursing, probably. I don't know what goes on in there.
I'm picturing also could be something like where one thing was said from one side, the other side had a rebuttal, and then it was just like a staring contest.
It was just like
staring. Down.
It's like the practice of the like when in sales, first one that talks after proposing something loses the deal.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like same with like for journalism. You ask the question and you just wait for the response. You don't help them out at all.
Right.
You don't. You not help them out at all.
I don't know.
They were definitely just like.
Definitely. I don't know what could have like got like. There's a bunch of like memes and like rumors about like what actually goes on in those meetings.
They definitely don't do anything.
And they're probably
they definitely don't do anything
themselves.
Yeah, I bet you they're in separate rooms talking.
Well, I do know this, that once both sides like come together and talk about some of the ideas they have, they go into separate rooms and deliberate on.
That's probably most of the time.
That's probably what it is.
How much do you think they're actually talking about the issues?
Very little.
They're definitely talking about
how was your dinner? How was your vacation?
They're definitely talking about their golf game.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I just hit a $150 with 3 mulligans.
Yeah. I mean, they do that, like, you know, and then everyone starts laughing, and then everyone like wants to get serious, and then they're like, no, let's just leave. We're not doing this now.
Yeah,
that's probably what.
Let's leave this to our future selves to fix.
We don't have a season to play.
But they have been meeting. They have been actually staying in probably not the same room, but the same building for a couple hours.
Sleepovers.
Yeah, exactly. They need to pretty much at this point if they want the season to start on time, because isn't the deadline's the 28th, right? That was
March 1st.
March 1st.
March
Okay.
1st.
No
difference.
No
Yeah,
difference.
but still, yeah. Get an extra day. An extra day.
An extra day to just not figure shit out. Just to stall.
There's been small there's been small steps in the right direction. It's
Such
just,
small.
They're so small. Like baby steps.
Not even
baby steps.
No, like baby crawls, man. They're not even walking yet. They're not even walking.
It's
Now, do you think that the owners are waiting for? Do you think both sides have no problem losing part of the season?
I don't think it's just tough because
I think either side is willing to lose games this season in order to get what they want.
Problem is, because both sides are going to be losing money. Like either way, if the players don't play, they're not going to be making money. If the teams don't play, the owners are losing out on all the revenue from ticket sales and the teams in general. So I think both sides have pretty much everything to lose if there's not a season to be played. However, I feel like the owners want to play less than the players do, though.
I think I would have to agree, but only because of the players that like are on the lower end of the pay scale, where they need this money to pay for their families that they may have in order to like provide a form of income to their families. But there's been reports of like this players association is stronger than ever because of how they believe that they got screwed over in 2016 and in 2020 with all the COVID decisions that were made. So now I think those lower end pay scale players are like, okay, we'll hold out for this one because we've been screwed over. And some of the stuff that the Players Association is asking for is to help. Oh yeah, that's a lot of what they're trying to do is help the lower pay scale players,
and it makes total sense for a lot of those asks. Obviously both sides have kind of agreed to take a step back and maybe counter their initial offers to make it feasible for both sides. I think the reason why I believe that the MLB owners want to play the season a little bit less than the players is Rob Manfred has the ability to end this lockout and begin to play, and then while still work on the CBA, but it is a legal issue. That's the big problem. If they do play without a CBA, they could run into issues, but there is a way around this to get spring training started.
If Manfred were to end the lockout, I believe there is serious concern for a strike. True. I highly believe and I think that's what they know.
That's probably why they haven't done it, because they could have ended it by now and then just
that. Yeah. I think that they would rather lose games than have to face a strike, because that is like death. Like that's awful.
That's like the worst possible thing.
That's awful. And I think the last strike was in 94 or something. In 94. And I believe, because I was listening to other people talk about it. I believe 94 was like the issues they were discussing and debating were like way more serious than the ones that are being debated right now. So if the lockout ends, I totally expect a strike, and I think the season could very well just be lost at that point.
Yeah, no, I just, the only reason I'm saying, because it's an option if they wanted to get spring training underway and get something moving, because obviously we're starting the season delayed no matter what at this point. It's just another option. Probably not the best, but it's another option. Do you think we get a deal done before March 1st?
No. I don't
either.
I really don't. They're so one of the big playing cards that the Players Association has in this discourse, argument, whatever you want to call it, is the expanded playoffs. They said, if we don't get this done by the first, you will not be getting expanded playoffs. They have said that. They have said to the owners, they have said it to the public, if we don't get this, and to the public and to like the media, if we do not get this done by March 4th, we will not agree and we will not give into expanded playoffs no matter what. If we lose part of the season, you will not be getting expanded playoffs for the CBA agreement.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like there's certain things where,
and we know the owners. That's the number one thing the owners want is the expanded playoffs.
Well, yeah, obviously with all the revenue that would come from that, obviously it's optimal for both sides. Obviously, you get to see more teams in the playoffs, more money being awarded to the teams that do end up making those playoffs. We're not in the best time right now with the deadline almost a week away, less than a week away. Yeah, it's not looking good for a season to be. So obviously, we both want it to happen. Obviously, everyone out there that's a baseball fan wants it to happen, but it's just a bunch of stubborn guys just can't.
It's a pissing match.
Yeah, it's just not going to end well.
No, of course it's not. But I talked about the postseason, the expanded playoffs. There was I don't know if it was like credited or anything like that, but it was leaked that the MLB postseason proposal for the expanded playoffs would include for each league,
Mm-hmm.
2 extra wildcard teams.
Right.
So now it would be raised instead of 5 up to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you feel about almost just under half the total amount of teams will be making the playoffs in the MLB?
There's 2 sides to this answer. One, it's a little more biased perspective because obviously being a Marlins fan, it increases my team's chances of making the playoffs. However, the biggest issue with diluting the quality of teams in the playoffs is there's going to be certain cases where you see teams that really don't deserve to be there getting into the playoffs, and that's the worst.
Wins.
Yeah, that's the worst thing possible for the playoffs. But there are always every year teams that miss out on the playoffs that deserve it, though.
Last year, the Blue Jays and the Mariners, 90-win teams, missed the playoffs, and they would have been that would have been great to watch.
Yeah,
especially the Blue Jays. That would have been very exciting to watch. And then, but like you run the chance, an 83-win team may get in, and you're like, it also kind of lowers the importance of a 162 game
the other
season.
Big thing. Yeah, I mean it does that, but it also it allows more fan bases to stay involved later in the season, which is important for the game, obviously. But that is a big thing. Not all 162 games are going to have as much importance as they normally do, which is something to think about. But in the end, I do think this will end up happening, obviously, because in the end, money is everything, and it creates more money for the league. And why not add a few more teams when you give maybe potential opportunity for more upsets as well?
I mean, now it's different. This is a different type of style,
right,
which is okay. I get it. They need to do, if you're going to add almost half the league into the playoffs, you got to do it in a more like not just normal seeding stuff. You got to add a little bit of theatrics to it, in which this proposal does talk about it, in which so the number 1 seed in the league in the American League, let's say the Rays, they get a bye first round. Then the 2 other division winners, the Astros and White Sox, they then pick out of the remaining 4 who they want to face in a 3-game set series, best of 3 series. And all 3 of those games are at home.
I like that. There's a lot of strategy involved in picking the team they want to play. Because obviously you could base it off if it's an individual divisional matchup to pick. That's a possibility. Obviously, you could base it off the success during the season, other variables, how your lineups match up against your pitcher staff. So I think that's a good thing to add about.
You could also do it to where I don't think they would ever do this, but you could make an argument for a team possibly doing it to give. Like, let's say the White Sox, I don't know. I got to check the standings of last year. It was the Red Sox and Yankees, and then the Blue Jays and Marlins were the next. Let's say that Mariners, thank you. Let's say the White Sox pick the Mariners, the Astros pick the Blue Jays. And they just do that because they want the Rays to face the tougher team. I think being that number 1 seed in the wild card is actually in the best position of not winning your division, because you don't have to pick a team. You do not have to give that other team bulletin board material. When you pick that team, you're saying, I believe we can beat you. without a doubt, that's why we're picking you out of the remaining 4 teams. You are the weakest team that we believe you are the weakest team out of the 4. And that adds drama to it. It adds bulletin board material, which everyone loves to have.
Yeah, but on the flip side to that, though, I feel like there could be scenarios. Obviously, a first round bye is great, but is it possible that we could see some teams maybe not want to get that first round bye because when you have the ability to pick a team you play and get to choose your matchup, that's a big advantage, especially if you're choosing a matchup that is beneficial to you. As the number 1 seed, you're just going to be given whatever card is drawn for you.
Yeah, that is the big thing too. Is like you're the number 1 seed. Shouldn't you be able to be able to decide the team you face?
Yeah, I mean, I think as the number 1 seed, obviously you get the advantage of the bye, but what are it seems like these other teams are having equal advantages, if not bigger advantages. Too.
Exactly. That I mean, if I'm the Rays, I'm not going to be happy about having to face the Red Sox or the Yankees, which are in division teams and which were standings wise the best teams out of the remaining wild cards. I would rather face have the Mariners fly all the way down from Seattle to Tampa and play a 3-game set in Tropicana. Who the hell wants to play a 3-game set in there? So that's the thing with this proposal. I like it in the sense it adds drama, it's theatrical and stuff like that, and that's kind of what the MLB needs to do. They need to reinvent themselves a little bit. In doing so, they could do that. I don't know if this is the best way, especially with having the number 1 seed almost having their fate decided.
That's the thing. Like the other two, the 2 and the 3 seed, they're at such a big advantage.
Yes,
to pick who they want to play.
Exactly.
Whoever's left to play the rate. Like
I would argue maybe the best position out of the entire league is having the second best record and winning your division.
I agree.
Because you get to choose your team and you're not going to have your fate decided. And you have first pick of which team you want to face.
That's the thing. Like our team is going to be vying for the number 2 seed instead of they're like, I don't want the number.
Yeah, let's punt on game 162 to get the 2 seed.
That's the only issue with it. Obviously, there's a lot of benefits to that. Expanded, add some more teams. The strategy involved in picking, you get to add more strategy into this game.
More analytics.
It's interesting that that thought process in those meeting rooms where teams are gonna have to decide who they want to pick. That's not an easy decision because it could be a make or break decision.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with the scenario last year about a 4-way tie.
Yeah,
it was logistically possible for a 4-way tie between the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Mariners, and I think they actually had to submit who they would choose to face in the event, and the Yankees said we would want to face the Red Sox if come that case. So I mean, obviously it was close to that already happening of picking teams.
I think we would see a lot of teams pick teams in their division.
You think
they're the most familiar with those teams and they know what they do good and know what they do bad. When you only face a team once or twice in a year, a lot about them, but I mean, you know a good amount about them, but facing a team 16, 17 times a year, that's what they can do really well.
Exactly. I mean, it's also a big thing about the best of 3 series all at home.
Yeah, that's
big.
That is really big. Yeah,
just all at home, having to have a team stay there for 3 days, practicing in their visitors area for 3 straight days.
I don't know if I like that though.
That's an advantage.
It's a huge advantage. I don't know. It's tough to not even give that away team a game at home.
What if I don't? You want to? It's still a 162 season. You need to reward the team that ended up the number 2 seed in the entire league, winning their division. You need to reward them in some way. You need to.
Aren't they getting the reward from picking the team though?
Yeah, but I don't. What if it was I don't know if this is better or worse, but this is also a proposal that people have been talking about is the home team just needs to win 1 game, or the higher seed just needs to win 1 game, and the lower seed or the away team needs to win 2 games.
Okay. I mean, it's that's tough because it makes sense when you're looking at it on paper, but
because it's only a max of then 2 games.
But like in that given series, that away team could be the better team if it was played out like a normal series. But if that home team only had to win one game, like, do we really know if they were the better team?
Well, that's the thing with the wild card game at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one game, and I like it. Obviously, my Yankees haven't had great success in the wild card series. I mean, we've had like success and not great success, but it adds a lot of drama.
Yeah,
it adds a lot of drama,
especially in baseball when we see 3-game, 4-game, 2-game series throughout the whole season. When it comes down to a 1-game series, like that's as random as it gets in an MLB season.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
all right. Hopefully we get some baseball on. It's enough of this. Right?
Just wait for 4 years later down the road, and the same thing's going to be happening. Think it's going to get any better from here on out?
No, it's only going down from here until Manfred's gone. Which who knows when that'll be.
If he ends the lockout, it will probably be very soon.
Yeah, that's true. And the lockout.
And the lockout. Players, please go on strike.
Yes.
But yeah, that was episode 43.
Troy Polamalu.
You guys will vote on which digit is the best odd digit out there out of 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9.
Yeah.
Out of 5 options.
Awesome.
5 is obviously the best.
I disagree. I think 1 is, but we'll let the viewers decide on that one.
Yes, definitely. But thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed. We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.